Hard truths you must accept about people. Stoicism. Epictetus once said, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." In today's video on Stoic in Your Life, we're going to tackle one of the most uncomfortable but necessary concepts, the hard truths about people, that when embraced can completely change how you experience life. These truths may not be easy to accept, but mastering them is key to managing your relationships, building emotional resilience, and finding real peace amid the chaos others might bring into your life. Think about it. How many times have you been frustrated by someone's actions, only to realize that you have no control over what they do? The only thing you can control is how you choose to respond. That's the essence of Stoic wisdom, and today, we'll go deep into how you can apply these powerful lessons to not only handle people better, but to live a more peaceful and fulfilling life. Have you ever felt disappointed or hurt by someone you trusted? How did you respond? Share your experience in the comments below. Your story might help others going through the same struggles. And remember, the first step to mastering these truths is acknowledging that they exist. So, if you're ready to embrace these principles and take control of your emotional well-being, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Let's walk this Stoic path together and grow stronger in the face of life's challenges. Welcome to Stoic in Your Life, where we use ancient Stoic philosophy to conquer modern-day struggles and help you thrive. 1. Have you realized how fake people can be? Seneca once said, "Fate leads the willing and drags along the reluctant." This is a reminder that, in life, there are certain realities we cannot escape, and one of them is the behavior of others. If you've ever been blindsided by someone you trusted or felt let down by a person who presented themselves as something they were not, you are not alone. As men navigating through life, especially in the age range of 30 to 65, it's time to accept a hard truth. People can be fake, and it's not something you can always control. The key here, and what Stoic philosophy has taught us for centuries, is that while we cannot control the actions of others, we can always control our reaction. Life has a way of showing us that trust is fragile, and many times, people present a version of themselves that aligns with what they think we want to see. Whether it's for personal gain, societal acceptance, or sheer self-preservation, people wear masks. As Marcus Aurelius advised, when you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, "The people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. They are like this because they can't tell good from evil." This reflection is crucial for understanding that human nature is not always driven by truth or sincerity. And while this might sound pessimistic, it's a reality we need to face if we want to maintain emotional balance and grow stronger. Why is this so important? Because many of the frustrations we face in life come from expecting others to behave in a way that aligns with our personal values. We invest time, energy, and sometimes even our happiness in people who, at the end of the day, may never be able to meet our expectations. This leads to disappointment, but the fault is often not entirely theirs. It's ours for expecting too much. The great Stoic Epictetus once said, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." If we want to live without the constant weight of disappointment, we must change the way we approach relationships and interactions with others. Instead of placing blind trust in everyone, approach each situation with the understanding that not all people have your best interests at heart. Some may act out of self-interest, others from insecurity, and some out of sheer ignorance. But by accepting this, we prepare ourselves for the inevitable. You might think, but how do I live in a world where trust is so fragile? The answer is simple. Live wisely and mindfully. Understand that not everyone you meet is as sincere as they seem, and that's okay. Don't let the actions of others dictate your emotions or reactions. The philosopher Diogenes once said, "We have 2 ears and 1 tongue so that we would listen more and talk less." This is particularly relevant in modern life, where everyone seems to have an agenda, and actions often don't match words. Listen carefully to the behavior of those around you and don't be quick to judge, but also don't be naive. By being more observant and less reactive, you safeguard your peace of mind and develop a thicker skin for the inevitable disappointments that life throws your way. In today's world, especially for men in the later stages of life, where career, relationships, and personal fulfillment are of utmost importance, it's crucial to recognize who is truly in your corner. Not everyone who smiles at you or speaks highly of you when you're around is sincere. And while this may sound cynical, it's not a call to distrust everyone, but rather to approach relationships with a healthier perspective. As the Stoics taught us, wisdom comes from recognizing that we are responsible for our own happiness. If we constantly expect others to fulfill our emotional needs or uphold standards that even we may fail at times, we set ourselves up for unnecessary frustration. Instead, be content with the realization that you control your reaction to others, and this is where true strength lies. This isn't to say that all people are inherently bad or untrustworthy. In fact, many individuals are genuine, kind, and loyal, but we must be discerning in our relationships. Don't be swayed by outward appearances or sweet words. Aristotle famously stated, "A friend to all is a friend to none." Be selective about who you let into your inner circle, and don't waste emotional energy on people who only bring negativity or deception into your life. This is not just a lesson in self-preservation, but a fundamental principle of Stoicism. Guard your mind and heart against unnecessary pain by controlling what is within your power: your judgments, your reactions, and your peace. In modern life, particularly in our careers and personal relationships, we face many situations where people's true intentions are unclear. Whether it's a colleague undermining your efforts, a friend acting selfishly, or even family members failing to live up to promises, these experiences are all part of life. Instead of letting them bring you down, use them as opportunities to practice resilience and emotional control. Marcus Aurelius said, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." This isn't about cutting people out or seeking revenge when they disappoint you. It's about maintaining your integrity and continuing on your path without allowing the actions of others to derail your progress. As you move forward, remember that accepting these hard truths about people is not a sign of weakness or cynicism. It's a sign of strength and wisdom. You're no longer allowing yourself to be swayed by the unpredictable behaviors of others. Instead, you are standing firm in your own beliefs, values, and emotional control. This is the essence of Stoicism and a path to true peace. In this journey of life, many people will cross your path. Some will add value and others will bring challenges. Embrace both with a steady mind and a calm heart. The more you practice this approach, the more resilient you'll become, and the less power others will have over your emotions. So, the next time someone shows their true colors, remember that it's not about them. It's about you and how you choose to respond. As the Stoics would say, control what you can, accept what you can't, and above all, keep moving forward. 2. Suffering is inevitable. But suffering is a choice. When it comes to suffering, most of us tend to think that it's something inflicted upon us by external forces. Life throws challenges our way: difficulties at work, strained relationships, personal setbacks, and we automatically feel the weight of these struggles. But what if I told you that while suffering itself is inevitable, how much we allow it to affect us is within our control? This is a core lesson from Stoic philosophy, and it's something that, once understood, can change the way you approach every hardship in life. Epictetus, a great Stoic philosopher, once said, "We suffer not from the events in our lives, but from our judgment about them." This means that the external events are neutral. It's how we perceive and react to them that determines whether or not we suffer. The truth is, difficulties are a part of the human experience. There is no escaping the ups and downs that come with being alive. However, by accepting that pain and hardships are inevitable, you free yourself from unnecessary torment. You gain the ability to control your internal world, even if the external world is chaotic. Think about it. How many times have you allowed a bad day at work to ruin your entire week? Or how often have you let one person's actions send you into a spiral of negative emotions, leaving you frustrated and overwhelmed? It's not the actual event that caused your suffering, but your response to it. This is why Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control: our own reactions, our thoughts, and our judgments. The great Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." And that's the key. If you focus on maintaining a calm and rational mindset in the face of adversity, you prevent external events from turning into internal suffering. It's not about ignoring pain or pretending that hardship doesn't exist. Rather, it's about understanding that you have the power to decide how much control it has over your emotions. A modern example of this can be seen in the lives of successful entrepreneurs. Take someone like Elon Musk. He's faced countless challenges, failures with his companies, public criticism, even personal struggles. But he continues to push forward, driven by his vision. Musk doesn't let setbacks define him because he understands that suffering is part of the journey to success. Instead of dwelling on failures, he learns from them and uses them as fuel to keep going. This is something we can all apply to our own lives. When you hit a roadblock, whether it's in your career or personal life, ask yourself, am I choosing to let this situation control my emotions, or can I rise above it and find a way to move forward? The choice is always yours. Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and psychiatrist, once said, "When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves." Frankl survived one of the most horrific events in human history, yet he found a way to maintain his inner peace and resilience through the worst suffering imaginable. His story reminds us that no matter how dire the situation may seem, we always have control over our mindset. Now, you might be thinking, but how do I actually apply this in my day-to-day life? Start by recognizing that suffering, in many cases, is self-inflicted. We magnify problems by focusing on them too much, replaying negative events in our minds and allowing small issues to snowball into larger ones. Next time you face a challenge, instead of immediately reacting with frustration or despair, take a step back. Ask yourself, is this event truly worth the emotional energy I'm giving it? By detaching from the situation, you can gain clarity and perspective, making it easier to choose how you respond. The Stoics believed in practicing this mindset daily. They would rehearse hardships in their minds so that when real challenges came, they were mentally prepared. For example, you might practice imagining that something goes wrong at work, and then think about how you would respond calmly and rationally. By doing this, you prepare yourself to face real difficulties with grace and control. Another way to incorporate this lesson into your life is through gratitude. When you focus on the good things you have, your health, your loved ones, your achievements, it becomes harder to let external events weigh you down. Even in moments of hardship, gratitude can remind you of the bigger picture and help you maintain a balanced perspective. At the end of the day, suffering is a universal part of life, but how we experience it is largely up to us. The next time you find yourself overwhelmed by a difficult situation, remember the words of Epictetus. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. You have the power to control your response, and in doing so, you reclaim your peace of mind. Life will always throw challenges your way. That's a given. But whether those challenges break you or make you stronger is entirely your choice. So the question is, what will you choose? Will you allow life's hardships to dictate your happiness, or will you take control of your mindset and rise above them? The Stoics left us with the wisdom to navigate suffering, not by avoiding it, but by mastering our reactions to it. It's time to apply that wisdom to your own life. And once you do, you'll find that even the toughest challenges can lead to growth, resilience, and ultimately, peace. 3. Comfort is the enemy of progress. Let's face it, we all love comfort. It's that warm, cozy blanket that shields us from discomfort and uncertainty. We naturally seek it in our daily routines, our relationships, and even in our careers. But here's a truth that most people are afraid to accept. Comfort is the enemy of progress. While it might feel good in the moment, staying in your comfort zone often means you're avoiding the challenges that lead to real growth. Have you ever wondered why so many successful people push themselves beyond the limits of comfort? It's not because they enjoy the struggle, but because they understand that without discomfort, there is no development. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most revered Stoic philosophers, said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, obstacles, challenges, and discomfort are what fuel progress. If you only seek out what's easy, you'll never find the path to true accomplishment. Think about it. When was the last time you felt real growth in your life? Was it during a time when everything was easy and predictable? Or was it during a period when you faced challenges that forced you to step up, learn new skills, or rethink your approach? Most people can probably agree that their biggest moments of personal growth came from hardship, not comfort. Take a moment to reflect. What are the areas in your life where you're choosing comfort over progress? Maybe it's your job, where you've been coasting for years without really challenging yourself. Or perhaps it's your health, where you stick to a safe routine instead of pushing your limits to get stronger or healthier. Ask yourself, am I staying comfortable because it's easy, or am I ready to embrace the discomfort that comes with growth? This is where Stoicism plays a vital role in helping us see the bigger picture. The Stoics believed that true happiness and fulfillment come from living in alignment with your values, not from avoiding difficulties. Seneca, another great Stoic philosopher, once said, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that they are difficult." This idea highlights how often we allow fear of discomfort to dictate our choices, but it also suggests that the act of daring, the act of stepping out of your comfort zone, makes challenges less intimidating. Now, let's apply this principle to modern life. We live in a world that constantly promotes comfort, from our technology that makes everything easier and faster to the societal emphasis on convenience. But think about what happens when we get too comfortable. Our minds and bodies become lazy. We stop pushing ourselves, and we start to stagnate. This isn't just true on a physical level, but mentally and emotionally as well. If you never challenge your beliefs or expose yourself to new ideas, you'll never expand your thinking. How often have you avoided difficult conversations or backed away from opportunities because they seemed uncomfortable? And what did that cost you in the long run? Imagine how much more you could achieve if you embraced the discomfort instead of running from it. Take, for example, an athlete training for a marathon. They don't get stronger by jogging the same short distance every day. They improve by pushing themselves, running farther and harder, even when it hurts. It's the discomfort that drives them to the next level. The same is true for every aspect of life. Whether it's your career, your personal relationships, or your inner development, stepping out of your comfort zone is the only way to truly grow. So how can you start embracing discomfort in a way that benefits you? Start small. It could be something as simple as waking up earlier to work on a new project or challenging yourself to learn a new skill. Once you start to see the progress that comes from stepping outside of your routine, you'll begin to understand that discomfort isn't something to be feared. It's a sign that you're growing. The Stoics had a practice called premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of evils. They would imagine worst-case scenarios to prepare themselves mentally for any hardship that might come their way. By doing this, they became less afraid of discomfort because they had already faced it in their minds. You can apply this to your own life by preparing for challenges and viewing them as opportunities for growth rather than threats to your comfort. Think about the moments in your life when you felt most alive, most energized. Were they moments of comfort? Or were they moments when you pushed yourself to achieve something great? The truth is, we are wired for growth, but modern life often encourages us to settle for less. Don't fall into that trap. Remember what Marcus Aurelius taught. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Strength comes from within, and it's built through facing discomfort head-on. So what's holding you back from stepping into discomfort today? What small step can you take to push your boundaries and move toward progress? Whether it's starting that business you've been dreaming about, finally having that tough conversation, or pushing your physical limits in the gym, it's time to get uncomfortable. Only through discomfort will you find the path to real, meaningful progress. Comfort is a seductive trap. It makes you feel safe, but it also holds you back. To live a life of purpose and fulfillment, you must be willing to embrace the discomfort that comes with growth. The Stoics knew this centuries ago, and it remains true today. The lesson is simple. Comfort is the enemy of progress. The next time you feel the pull of the familiar and easy, ask yourself, am I choosing comfort over growth? If the answer is yes, it's time to make a change. Only by stepping out of your comfort zone will you achieve the greatness you're capable of. 4. Not everyone will like you. One of the hardest truths to accept in life is that not everyone will like you. As simple as this may sound, it can be a tough pill to swallow, especially for men who pride themselves on being leaders, respected figures, and successful individuals. But let's face it, whether in your personal relationships, your career, or even social circles, there will always be people who, no matter what you do, won't be fond of you. And that's okay. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." What he meant is that the pursuit of approval from everyone often leads to the betrayal of your true self, and in the process, it weakens you. You start shaping yourself to meet others' expectations rather than focusing on what really matters, your own values, goals, and growth. Think about it. How many times have you caught yourself bending over backward to win someone's approval, only to feel unfulfilled and frustrated when your efforts were not appreciated? This happens because we often place our self-worth in the hands of others, seeking validation from people who might never give it. But the truth is, their opinion is beyond your control. This is something Stoicism teaches us very clearly. You can't control what others think or feel about you. The only thing within your control is your reaction and how much weight you give to their opinions. Marcus Aurelius, in his famous Meditations, wrote, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." It's human nature to seek approval, but it becomes destructive when you let it dictate how you live your life. In today's modern world, especially with the constant influence of social media, it's easy to fall into the trap of seeking likes, comments, and validation from others. But as men who are focused on personal growth and living with purpose, it's crucial to rise above that need for external validation. Remember, your value doesn't decrease based on someone else's inability to see your worth. You might not be everyone's cup of tea, and that's fine. We live in a diverse world filled with different personalities, beliefs, and backgrounds, and not everyone will resonate with who you are or what you stand for. The key is not letting that disapproval define you. In fact, disapproval can often be a sign that you're standing firm in your convictions and not bending to the will of others. It's a mark of integrity, not a failure. The more you try to please everyone, the more diluted and inauthentic you become. Ask yourself, would you rather be loved by everyone for being someone you're not, or respected by a few for standing by your beliefs? When you focus on staying true to yourself, you'll find that the right people will naturally gravitate towards you, those who value you for who you are, not for what you can do for them. Aristotle once said, "A friend to all is a friend to none." This quote perfectly encapsulates the idea that trying to win everyone's favor often results in shallow, meaningless relationships. Instead, aim to build deep connections with people who share your values and respect your character. Let me give you a real-world example. Think about some of the most successful figures in history, whether they be political leaders, business moguls, or influential thinkers. None of them were universally liked. Take someone like Steve Jobs, for instance. He was a visionary and a pioneer, but he wasn't necessarily loved by everyone. Some found him difficult, abrasive, and even unlikable. But that didn't stop him from pushing forward with his vision, which eventually transformed entire industries and changed the way we live our lives today. He didn't waste his time trying to win everyone over. Instead, he focused on the work that mattered, knowing that his success and legacy were not dependent on being liked by all. The same can apply to you. In your career, you may have colleagues who don't see eye to eye with you, or clients who never seem satisfied. In your personal life, there may be family members or friends who disagree with your choices or values. But just because they disapprove doesn't mean you're on the wrong path. In fact, it might be a sign that you're following your own direction, and that's something to be proud of. If you let yourself be swayed by every person's opinion, you'll never find solid ground. You'll constantly be changing to fit the mold of what others expect, rather than standing firm in your beliefs and pursuing what truly matters to you. And here's the question you should reflect on. Are you living your life to satisfy others, or are you living it to fulfill your purpose? This is a fundamental question every man must ask himself at some point. Because the moment you stop caring about whether or not people like you is the moment you begin to unlock your full potential. When you free yourself from the chains of public opinion, you gain a clarity of mind and a strength of will that can carry you through even the toughest of challenges. As long as you're acting with integrity and staying true to your values, the opinions of others become irrelevant. Remember the words of Epictetus: "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. It's not the disapproval or rejection from others that hurts. It's how much power you give it over your life." Thank you for joining us in today's video. Before we move on to the next segment, I'd like to take a moment to express my gratitude for having you as part of this community. Your presence means a lot, and we'd love to hear from you. Feel free to share your thoughts or personal experiences in the comments. If you're new here, simply type, "I am a newbie." And if you've been with us for a while, comment, "I am a Stoic." Your engagement not only adds to our community, but also inspires us to continue creating meaningful content for you. All right, let's keep moving forward on this journey together, shall we? 5. Expectations lead to disappointment. One of the most important lessons we can learn in life is that expectations are often the root of our disappointment. It sounds simple, but the reality is that we constantly set ourselves up for frustration by expecting others to behave a certain way, or for situations to unfold according to our hopes and desires. We want people to be reliable, to think the way we do, to treat us with the same level of respect we show them. But what happens when they don't? What happens when life throws us a curveball? That's where disappointment creeps in, and it's usually because our expectations didn't match reality. Epictetus, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, said, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This simple truth reminds us that while we may not control what others do or what life brings, we can control how we choose to react. Yet many of us fall into the trap of expecting life to go smoothly, for others to act in predictable ways, and when they don't, we suffer. The problem is not the actions of others or the outcomes of situations, but the expectations we attach to them. Think about the last time you felt deeply disappointed. Was it because someone let you down? Perhaps a friend didn't support you the way you thought they should, or maybe a colleague failed to meet your expectations at work. What if you approached that situation without expecting a specific outcome? The disappointment wouldn't sting nearly as much, because you wouldn't be relying on the actions of others for your sense of contentment. Expectations lead us to believe that life will follow a script, and when it doesn't, we feel betrayed. But the reality is, most people won't behave the way we expect, and life often has its own plans. The Stoics understood this better than anyone. They recognized that suffering often comes not from the event itself, but from the expectation that things would go differently. Seneca once said, "The greatest blessings of mankind are within us and within our reach. A wise man is content with his lot, whatever it may be, without wishing for what he has not." Let's relate this idea to modern life. In today's fast-paced world, filled with social media and instant gratification, we are constantly bombarded with unrealistic expectations. Expectations of success, relationships, happiness, and more. We scroll through our feeds and see snapshots of others' lives, and we expect our own lives to match up. We expect to achieve the same level of success, to find the perfect partner, to be as happy as everyone seems to be online. But this expectation is a trap. The reality is that social media often shows a curated version of life, not the truth. And when we hold ourselves to these false expectations, we end up disappointed. You might have had expectations that your career would take off by a certain age or that your relationship would be a fairy tale like the ones you see in the movies. But life rarely goes according to a preset plan. The sooner we let go of these expectations, the happier we can be. A good story that illustrates this concept is about a man who worked tirelessly for a promotion at his job. He expected that if he put in the hard work, the promotion would be his. When the day came and someone else was chosen, he was crushed, not necessarily because he didn't get the job, but because he had built his happiness around the expectation of achieving it. His disappointment wasn't about the situation, it was about the gap between his expectation and reality. This kind of story plays out in many of our lives. We expect things to go our way, and when they don't, we're left feeling disheartened. But what if we approached life with fewer expectations? What if instead of expecting a promotion, we focused on doing our best at work for its own sake? What if, instead of expecting others to behave a certain way, we accepted them for who they are, flaws and all? This brings us to the key question. How often do you allow your expectations to shape your happiness? The more you rely on external factors to meet your expectations, the more likely you are to experience disappointment. But if you shift your mindset to focus on what you can control, your own actions, your reactions, your mindset, you'll find that life becomes much easier to navigate. The Stoic approach to expectations is one of acceptance. They teach us to embrace life as it is, rather than as we wish it to be. By letting go of expectations, you free yourself from the constant cycle of hope and disappointment. Life becomes less about chasing outcomes and more about appreciating the journey, whatever it may bring. As you think about the role expectations play in your own life, ask yourself this: are my disappointments rooted in the actions of others or in my own expectations? This shift in thinking can be transformative. Instead of allowing unmet expectations to dictate your mood, you can take a more balanced approach. If someone lets you down, rather than spiraling into frustration, you can remind yourself that their behavior is beyond your control. Instead of expecting a certain outcome, focus on what you can do in the present moment. As the Stoics believed, true contentment comes not from expecting life to go our way, but from accepting it as it unfolds. 6. The world owes you nothing. Earn your place. One of the most difficult realities to accept is that the world doesn't owe you anything. Many of us go through life thinking that because we've worked hard, sacrificed, or simply because we exist, we are entitled to success, happiness, or respect. But here's the cold, hard truth. The world doesn't work that way. As much as you may feel that your efforts should automatically lead to rewards, the reality is that life doesn't owe you any favors no matter how deserving you think you are. This might sound harsh, but accepting this is crucial for personal growth. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, said it best: "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." What he meant is that the only thing you truly control is yourself, your thoughts, your actions, and how you respond to life's challenges. The sooner you accept that the universe isn't going to hand you anything on a silver platter, the sooner you can start taking meaningful action to create the life you want. Think about it. How many times have you found yourself feeling resentful or frustrated because things didn't go your way? Maybe you've worked hard at your job expecting a promotion, but it never came. Perhaps you've invested a lot of time and energy into a relationship, only to be left disappointed. These are the moments when we tend to think that we've been wronged, as if the world owes us a certain outcome. But the truth is, life is indifferent. It doesn't operate on a system of fairness or guarantees. As the Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." In other words, expecting more from life than it's willing to give can lead to endless frustration. The more you feel entitled to something, the more you set yourself up for disappointment when things don't work out as you hoped. So, what's the solution? Instead of waiting for the world to give you what you think you deserve, focus on earning your place. This means taking responsibility for your own success and happiness, rather than waiting for external forces to reward you. Whether it's in your career, your personal life, or your goals, you need to adopt a mindset of ownership. Nothing will be handed to you. You have to put in the work, day after day, and learn to embrace the grind without expecting immediate results. This is where Stoic philosophy can be incredibly helpful. The Stoics believed that life is full of challenges and that we must face them head-on with resilience, not with the expectation that life will smooth the path for us. Epictetus once said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." If you're constantly waiting for life to deliver on your desires, you'll always be disappointed. But if you focus on what you can control, your effort, your discipline, your mindset, you'll find a sense of peace, regardless of external circumstances. In modern life, we're often bombarded with the idea that we're entitled to success, happiness, and fulfillment just because we work hard or follow the rules. Social media reinforces this illusion by showing us the highlight reels of other people's lives, making it seem like everyone else is getting what they deserve while we're left waiting. But here's the truth. Most people who achieve great things didn't sit around waiting for them. They took action. They didn't expect the world to give them anything. They went out and earned it. Let's take someone like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, for example. He didn't get to where he is today by sitting back and assuming his hard work would eventually pay off. He kept pushing, kept grinding, even when things didn't go his way. And that's what separates people who succeed from those who stay stuck. The successful don't wait for the world to hand them opportunities, they create them. Now ask yourself, are you waiting for the world to give you what you think you deserve, or are you actively working to earn your place? It's an important distinction. If you're waiting, you're setting yourself up for disappointment because life doesn't operate on your timetable. But if you're working to earn your place, if you're taking responsibility for your own destiny, then you're putting yourself in a position to succeed. This doesn't mean that hard work will always lead to immediate rewards. Often, it doesn't. But that's not the point. The point is to focus on what you can control and to keep moving forward, regardless of the outcome. Success in many cases is about persistence more than anything else. This leads us to an important question. How can you start earning your place in life right now? The answer isn't glamorous, but it's effective, through discipline, effort, and perseverance. Whatever it is you're working towards, whether it's a promotion, a personal goal, or self-improvement, you need to show up every day and put in the work. And you need to do it without expecting the world to reward you immediately. Remember, the universe doesn't owe you success just because you're trying. You need to earn it, brick by brick, through consistent effort. And even when life throws obstacles in your way, don't fall into the trap of feeling victimized. Instead, see these challenges as opportunities to grow and prove your resilience. The world owes you nothing, but you owe yourself everything. The only person who can truly guarantee your success is you. This is the ultimate message of Stoicism. Focus on what you can control, work hard, and don't waste time feeling entitled to outcomes that are beyond your power. As Marcus Aurelius said, the best revenge is not to be like your enemy. In other words, don't let the unfairness of life drag you down or make you bitter. Instead, rise above it by taking charge of your own actions and attitude. Life might not give you what you want, but if you earn your place through hard work and perseverance, you'll find that you don't need the world's approval. you'll have earned your own. So ask yourself, what can I do today to start earning my place, without expecting anything in return? The answer to that question will define the path of your personal growth and success. 7. Honesty isn't always the best policy. We're often told that honesty is the best policy, that truthfulness will always serve us well. But the hard truth is that while honesty is important, it's not always the best policy in every situation. You see, the concept of honesty is often misunderstood. Many think it means saying exactly what's on your mind without considering the impact it might have on the other person. But being blunt and brutally honest can do more harm than good. Sometimes what's perceived as honesty is simply a form of venting your frustrations, and that can break relationships, damage reputations, and leave lasting scars. Marcus Aurelius, a well-known Stoic philosopher, wisely said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." Yet even this quote implies a balance. While you must live truthfully, it doesn't mean unloading your harshest opinions or judgments onto others without thinking about the consequences. Honesty should be wielded carefully, and in many cases, tact is more effective than being brutally honest. Life is full of moments when a soft touch, a bit of grace, or a kind word can accomplish far more than raw truth ever could. This isn't about being deceptive, but about understanding the right time and place for truth. You've probably experienced this firsthand. Maybe you had a boss who gave you feedback that was technically honest but delivered in a way that left you demoralized rather than motivated. Or perhaps you've had a conversation with a loved one where their blunt honesty stung, even if they didn't mean to hurt you. In these situations, the truth wasn't the problem. It was how that truth was delivered. As Seneca, another Stoic philosopher, once said, "Speech is the mirror of the mind. What we say and how we say it reflects not just our thoughts, but our values and our respect for the person we're speaking to." In modern life, especially in personal and professional relationships, honesty must be paired with empathy. Consider this. What is your goal when you're being honest? Are you seeking to build someone up or tear them down? Are you sharing the truth because it will help them, or because you want to get something off your chest? These questions are critical, because they determine whether your honesty is constructive or harmful. If a friend asks for your opinion on something sensitive, like their career or relationship, and you respond with harsh truths without considering their feelings, you risk damaging that relationship. It's not that you should lie, but you should find a way to express the truth in a way that is helpful and not destructive. Think about how doctors deliver bad news. They don't blurt out everything in a raw, cold manner. Instead, they carefully choose their words, balancing truth with compassion to help the patient understand without feeling crushed. This balance is something we can all learn from. Now, let's take a look at how this principle plays out in everyday life. Suppose you have a colleague who isn't performing well, and you're asked to give feedback. You could go the brutally honest route, pointing out every flaw and mistake, leaving them feeling defeated and worthless. Or you could focus on areas of improvement, highlight their strengths, and offer guidance on how they can improve. In both cases, you're being honest, but in the second, you're being more thoughtful, helping them grow rather than tearing them down. This doesn't mean you should sugarcoat everything. There's a fine line between being tactful and being overly soft. But the key is to deliver the truth in a way that leaves the person better than before, not worse. A modern story that illustrates the balance of honesty and tact is the rise of successful coaches and mentors in various fields. Take someone like Phil Jackson, the legendary basketball coach. He was known for being direct with his players, but also knew how to manage their personalities. He didn't sugarcoat criticism, but he delivered it in a way that motivated rather than deflated. His honesty was aimed at helping his players reach their potential, not tearing them down for their mistakes. This approach is something we can apply in all areas of life, whether we're giving feedback to a friend, having a difficult conversation with a partner, or handling a challenging situation at work. So what does this mean for you? The next time you're in a situation where you feel the need to be honest, ask yourself this: Is my honesty serving the other person, or is it serving my own frustration? Will my words help or harm? Remember, you can always choose how to deliver the truth. Sometimes a hard truth can be softened with a bit of compassion, and other times the truth is better left unsaid if it will only cause unnecessary pain without benefit. This doesn't mean you should avoid difficult conversations, but rather that you should approach them with the intent to improve the situation, not to vent your emotions. In fact, the Stoics taught us that self-control is key, and this includes controlling our words. Epictetus said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." Before you speak, especially when the topic is delicate, take a moment to reflect on the impact of your words. Are you speaking to make the situation better, or are you simply reacting out of emotion? This kind of self-awareness is what separates a thoughtful person from someone who speaks without regard for the consequences. Honesty is essential, but it should be handled with care. The truth can be powerful, but it can also be hurtful if not delivered in the right way. The lesson here is simple. Honesty without compassion is brutality. If you want to build strong relationships and help others grow, you must learn to balance truth with kindness. So, the next time you're faced with the opportunity to be honest, ask yourself, how can I tell the truth in a way that benefits the person I'm speaking to rather than leaving them feeling hurt or attacked? The answer to this question will help you navigate difficult conversations with wisdom and grace, creating more meaningful and productive relationships in the process. If you've made it this far, you're embracing the path of wisdom. Drop a comment saying, "I am a Stoic," to show you're ready to face the hard truths and grow stronger from them. Stick around. There's more to learn, and the journey is just beginning. 8. Failure is the path to success. Failure, something most of us dread, avoid, and fear. But what if I told you that failure is not just a stepping stone to success, but the very path you must take to achieve it? It's easy to look at failure as a sign of defeat, something that defines our limits or proves our inadequacies, but Stoicism teaches us to view failure differently. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This means that failure is not an obstacle but a necessary part of the journey. Each failure, each setback, every misstep teaches you something essential for growth, something you couldn't have learned otherwise. And this is a hard truth about life and people, including yourself. To succeed, you must fail. It's not glamorous, and it's not something you can avoid if you want to reach your full potential. The key is how you react to it. Do you give up, or do you take failure as an opportunity to grow stronger and smarter? Think about any great figure in history, whether in business, science, sports, or even personal development. Behind every success story is a series of failures, setbacks, and disappointments. Take someone like Thomas Edison, the inventor of the light bulb. Edison didn't invent the light bulb on his first try, far from it. He failed over 1,000 times before finally getting it right. When asked about his failures, Edison famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." His mindset was exactly what Stoicism teaches us. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of it. Each failure brings you closer to where you need to be, as long as you keep going and don't allow the failures to defeat your spirit. The problem is, many of us have been conditioned to view failure as something to be ashamed of, something that marks the end of our efforts. But what if, instead, you viewed it as a tool for learning, adjusting, and refining your approach? Now let's apply this to modern life. In a world where success is often flaunted on social media, where we only see people's highlights and achievements, it's easy to forget that behind every success is a story full of challenges and failures. You might see an entrepreneur who just sold their company for millions, but what you don't see are the years of failed businesses, sleepless nights, and countless obstacles they faced along the way. This is true for every area of life, whether it's your career, your personal relationships, or even your own personal goals. If you're trying to get into shape, for example, there will be times when you miss a workout, eat the wrong things, or fall short of your goals. But those setbacks don't define your journey. It's how you respond to them that counts. Do you let one bad day derail your progress? Or do you get back up and keep moving forward? This brings us to an important question. How do you handle failure? Do you see it as the end of the road, or do you see it as part of the process? The difference in how you answer this question will define your ability to succeed in the long run. Epictetus, another great Stoic philosopher, once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This is a powerful reminder that you always have control over your response, even when things don't go your way. If you're willing to see failure as feedback rather than a judgment, you'll realize that each failure holds valuable lessons. Failure teaches resilience, patience, and perseverance, qualities that are essential for long-term success. In modern society, failure is often stigmatized. We're taught to avoid it at all costs, to present ourselves as always winning, always achieving. But that's not reality. Reality is messy, unpredictable, and full of setbacks. The sooner you accept that failure is an inevitable part of your journey, the sooner you can start using it to your advantage. Failure humbles you, forces you to reassess, and helps you find the cracks in your approach. It shows you what doesn't work so you can focus on what does. Think about it. If you're not failing, are you really pushing yourself hard enough? Are you stepping outside of your comfort zone and striving for something bigger? Failure means you're trying, and trying is the only way to succeed. A good story to highlight this comes from the world of sports. Think about Michael Jordan, often considered one of the greatest basketball players of all time. Jordan once said, "I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times, I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and miss. I've failed over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed." Jordan didn't shy away from his failures. He embraced them, learned from them, and used them to fuel his future success. His career was built not on never failing, but on how he responded to failure each time it came. So, what does this mean for you? The next time you face failure, whether it's in your career, your personal life, or any goal you're pursuing, remember that failure is not a dead end. It's a detour, a chance to recalibrate and try again with more knowledge and experience. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this failure? How can I use it to move forward? The answers to these questions will ultimately shape your path to success. If you're willing to embrace failure as part of the process, you'll find that it becomes less intimidating and more empowering. Failure is not something to fear. It's something to expect, something to work with, and something that will make you stronger. 9. Your dreams may not align with your life. One of the hardest truths to accept is that your dreams may not align with your reality, and that can be a tough pill to swallow. We all grow up with ideas of what our lives should look like. We dream of achieving certain goals, reaching milestones, and living a life that fits perfectly with the expectations we've set for ourselves. But the reality is, life often doesn't go according to plan. And that's okay. It's not an indication that you've failed or that you're not good enough. It's simply the way life works. Unpredictable, uncontrollable, and sometimes unyielding to our desires. Marcus Aurelius, a famous Stoic philosopher, once said, "Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together, but do so with all your heart." This reminds us that while we may have grand dreams and ambitions, we must also learn to embrace the path life presents to us, even if it doesn't match the one we envisioned. Think about it. How many times in your life have things not turned out the way you expected? Maybe you dreamed of a career in a certain field, only to end up doing something completely different. Or perhaps you imagined that you'd be in a different place personally or financially by this point in your life. It's common for many people to feel like their reality is far from the life they had imagined. But instead of letting that realization defeat you, it's important to reframe it. Just because things don't look like what you envisioned doesn't mean you're off course. Life often has a way of presenting us with unexpected opportunities, detours that ultimately lead us to where we need to be, even if it's not where we initially thought we were going. This brings us to a critical question. Are you willing to adapt when life doesn't go according to plan, or are you stuck chasing an outdated version of your dream? There's a fine line between persistence and being too rigid. It's admirable to work toward your goals, but it's also necessary to recognize when those goals no longer serve you. Sometimes life forces us to reevaluate what we want, and that's not a failure, it's growth. Seneca, another great Stoic philosopher, said, "If one does not know to which port one is sailing, no wind is favorable." This quote captures the essence of flexibility. When your dreams no longer align with your reality, it's time to adjust your sails and navigate toward a new destination that makes sense for where you are right now. In today's world, we are constantly bombarded with images of success. Social media, movies, and advertisements paint a picture of what the ideal life looks like. We see people achieving their goals, living in luxury, and seemingly having it all. But here's the truth. Those images don't represent the whole story. What we don't see are the struggles, the compromises, and the unexpected turns those people had to take to get where they are. The gap between our dreams and our current life is often widened by the unrealistic expectations we've been conditioned to have. The sooner you let go of the fantasy that life will go exactly as you planned, the sooner you can find peace with where you are and make the most of your present situation. Let me share a modern story that illustrates this point. Consider someone like J.K. Rowling, the author of the Harry Potter series. Before she became a household name, she was a struggling single mother on welfare, far from the life she had imagined for herself. She had always dreamed of being a successful author, but for years, that dream seemed completely out of reach. However, instead of giving up or clinging to the idea that her life should have gone differently, she adapted. She kept writing despite her circumstances, but she also accepted the reality of her situation, working through the difficulties without losing sight of what she could still achieve. Eventually, her persistence paid off, though not in the way she had originally expected. Her story teaches us that while life may not always align with our dreams, that doesn't mean we're on the wrong path. Sometimes it just takes longer or looks different than we imagined. So how do you handle it when you realize your dreams and your life aren't lining up? Do you keep chasing an ideal that may no longer serve you? Or do you take a step back and assess where you are now and what might make sense for your current reality? Life has a funny way of working out in unexpected ways, but you have to be open to the possibility that your current path may lead you somewhere even better than your original plan. The Stoics believed in focusing on what you can control and letting go of what you can't. Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher, said, "Don't demand that things happen as you wish, but wish that they happen as they do, and you will go on well." This wisdom encourages us to stop resisting the flow of life and to accept the present for what it is, not what we wish it were. It's important to remember that having dreams and aspirations is not a bad thing. In fact, it's essential for growth and motivation. But when your dreams don't align with your life, it's not a sign to give up. It's a sign to adapt, to find new ways to pursue fulfillment, and to be open to the possibility that where you are right now might actually be exactly where you need to be. Ask yourself, are you clinging to a version of life that no longer fits who you are? Or are you willing to embrace the present and make the most of the opportunities in front of you? The answer to that question will determine whether you continue to live in frustration or find peace in the journey you're on. Your dreams may not always align with your life, but that doesn't mean you're on the wrong path. It simply means the path you're on is different from what you expected, and that's okay. The lesson here is to trust the process, to adapt when necessary, and to find contentment in the present moment, even when it doesn't match your original vision. Life will always be full of surprises, twists, and turns, But if you can learn to accept those changes with grace and flexibility, you'll find that you're still capable of achieving great things, even if they're not the things you originally set out to achieve. What matters most is not whether your life looks exactly like your dreams, but whether you're willing to find joy and fulfillment in the life you have. As you move forward, keep this in mind. Your dreams may not align with your life, but that doesn't mean your life isn't worth celebrating. 10. Time waits for no one. Time is the one resource we can never get back. It's constantly slipping through our fingers, moving forward whether we're ready or not. As much as we wish we could pause it, slow it down, or hold on to certain moments, the harsh truth is that time waits for no one. This reality often hits hardest when we look back and realize how much of it we've wasted on things that didn't matter, on people who didn't value us, or simply by being idle, thinking we have all the time in the world. The Stoic philosopher Seneca wisely stated, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." This couldn't be more true today, where distractions are endless, and we often put off what really matters thinking we'll get to it later. But here's the hard truth. There is no later guarantee. Every moment you spend procrastinating or investing time in things that don't serve your purpose is a moment you'll never get back. Think about it. How often do you tell yourself, "I'll do it tomorrow," only for tomorrow to turn into next week, next month, or even next year? We often fall into the trap of thinking we have more time than we actually do, and that's where the danger lies. The truth is, life is unpredictable. None of us knows how much time we truly have. We assume we'll get to our goals, our dreams, and the people we care about when things settle down, but life doesn't work that way. Marcus Aurelius, another great Stoic philosopher, said, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." He was reminding us to live with a sense of urgency, not out of fear, but out of respect for the fleeting nature of time. Every second you waste is a second you can never reclaim, and once it's gone for good. In modern life, it's easy to get caught up in the distractions that steal our time. Social media, endless scrolling, binge-watching TV shows, these are things that, in moderation, might seem harmless, but over time they add up. Hours turn into days, days into weeks, and before you know it, you've spent a significant portion of your life on things that don't move you closer to your goals or give you any real fulfillment. Have you ever caught yourself wondering where all your time went, only to realize it was spent on things that don't truly matter? This is a common experience in today's fast-paced world, and it's something we need to confront head-on if we want to make the most of our lives. Now ask yourself, how are you spending your time? Are you investing it wisely in things that will help you grow, learn, and become the person you want to be? Or are you letting it slip away on meaningless activities that leave you feeling empty? This is a question that can be difficult to face, but it's one that everyone must ask themselves at some point. Time is the great equalizer. No matter how wealthy, talented, or successful you are, you can't buy more of it. The only thing you can do is make the most of the time you've been given. Seneca also said, "Life is long if you know how to use it." This means that while life may seem short, the real issue is not the length of time, but how we choose to use it. Those who understand this live fully, seizing opportunities and making every moment count, while those who don't let time slip away, always wishing they had more. This concept is particularly relevant when it comes to personal goals and relationships. How many times have you delayed pursuing something important because you thought you had more time? Maybe it was a career move you wanted to make, a passion project you kept putting off, or a relationship you took for granted assuming you could fix it later. But time doesn't pause for our convenience, and if you keep waiting for the perfect moment, you may find that the moment never comes. Life is happening now, and every day is an opportunity to move closer to what matters most to you. Whether it's taking that first step toward your goal or spending quality time with the people who matter most, You have to act now because tomorrow is not guaranteed. A modern story that exemplifies this truth is that of Steve Jobs. Jobs once said, "Remembering that you are going to die is the best way I know to avoid the trap of thinking you have something to lose. You are already naked. There is no reason not to follow your heart." Jobs understood that time was limited, and he lived with a sense of urgency, focusing on what mattered to him. He didn't waste time worrying about failures or setbacks. Instead, he relentlessly pursued his vision, knowing that time was his most precious resource. His story reminds us that we need to take risks and act with intention because, in the end, it's not the time you have, but what you do with it that counts. So, what can you do today to ensure you're not letting time pass you by? Start by taking an honest look at how you're spending your days. Are your actions aligned with your goals and values, or are you letting distractions dictate your life? If you find that you're not using your time wisely, don't beat yourself up. Use that realization as motivation to change. Start small if you need to, but make a commitment to stop procrastinating and to focus on what truly matters. Whether it's building your career, deepening your relationships, or improving your health, don't wait for the perfect time because the perfect time doesn't exist. The only time you have is now. Time waits for no one. It's a finite resource, and once it's gone, there's no getting it back. The Stoics understood this deeply, which is why they lived with a sense of urgency and purpose. The lesson here is simple but powerful. Don't waste your time. Use it wisely, live intentionally, and remember that every day is a gift. As you go through life, keep this question in mind. Am I making the most of my time, or am I letting it slip away on things that don't really matter? The answer to that question will determine the quality of your life. Time is precious. Make sure you're spending it on things that truly count. As we've explored today, the hard truths about people can be difficult to accept, but embracing them is essential for personal growth and resilience. By understanding that not everyone will like you, that failure is part of success, and that time waits for no one, we begin to live more intentionally with greater wisdom and strength. These Stoic principles empower us to control our reactions and focus on what we can change, allowing us to navigate life with clarity and purpose. If you found value in this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Stoic in Your Life. Make sure to turn on notifications so you won't miss our upcoming videos on Stoic lessons and how they can improve your life. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.